I'm going to shuffle as I go today. Where is pile 4 currently being their own biggest obstacle? And the way you communicate your feelings, we knew it would be feelings, is a challenge for you. Not going to therapy, not taking a public speaking course, not taking information at face value, but instead interpreting it through the lens of your emotions. Like, I was just talking about this. Oh, my bad. There is this, maybe we should go this way because the light. Okay, yeah. It's like being willing to readjust and not taking your feelings into consideration so much that you go silent. It's like if you have a problem, if that readjustment was an issue, expressing your concerns in a way where people aren't just supposed to assume your feelings, but they can help you get through your struggles or motivate you to push past the tension. There's something about you have your, because right here, I'm seeing so much. It says, hold on, let me straighten it out. Okay, it says comfort. Okay. My thumbs, I know my thumbs are atrocious, so nevertheless. Instinct, nurturing, comfort, digestion, home, family conditioning, habits, femininity, mother, self-soothing, embodiment, privacy. So I feel like your feelings are your private emotions because your family didn't accept or considered your sensitivities to be a challenge. So when you are in positions where you feel pressured by the world or your senses, or you're struggling to keep your sense of awareness, like kind of, you know, when you're drowning, when you're having a panic attack, when whatever the case may be, you've learned to not communicate your needs because they were met as a challenge. So continuing to look at your like the things that you need to help you feel safe. It's giving like emotional support pet, but like they're just objects or like routines or mantras. Communicating that better so that people can learn you and understand you, and like it's like you're more palatable than you realize, but people don't have patience for their family. You know how someone has like more patience for someone else's grandma to teach them how to use their phone than they do for their own grandma, just because maybe their own grandma is always asking for something or doesn't understand their form of communication. So if you only took this one, pretend your life has been like you've been a test subject. It's almost giving like a test study. And if you study this one family based on you can't base your formula for life based on this one family's interaction with you. And I know it's your own family, so your feelings feel extra personal, but like just because they didn't know how to handle you and considered you a challenge doesn't mean when you communicate your thoughts to other people that you'll be met with that same kind of animosity or that angst or that friction. If you ask your parents to solve an equation and it's long division, but they only were ever taught math, like simple math. You know, I'm hearing something like, you can't, I understand you want to go to your parents and your family with your problems and hope that they bring solution, but sometimes they only bring more problem, and it's because they're frustrated with the fact that they don't know the answer. So the fact that you would even ask the question, like, it's kind of like they took it out on that. So it's like your feelings were communicated with the wrong test group, and you don't let yourself be frustrated and hurt to the point where you hide yourself away or you no longer communicate with your feelings with anyone just because they were unable to hold your pain, is what I'm hearing. I have so many cards I'm gonna pull, so let's progress though, because we know I could be a chit chatty. So your own biggest obstacle is continuing to consider your feelings as a challenge, your feelings as something that shouldn't or couldn't be communicated. Because as I split the deck, we do have you're already doing it. So for a lot of you, I feel like you're already going to therapy, or you're learning how to stand up for yourself, or you're allowing yourself to communicate better. Some of you who used to feel like you weren't allowed to stand up for yourself or allowed to stand up for your feelings, I'm hearing a lot of, you know, like, I'll give you something to cry about, or you know, I feel just the things we hear often. And if you knew, you knew, and if you don't, some things for some people, I'm hearing your feelings are, you're like, I have no problem communicating my feelings. My challenge is I communicate too much. So let's mosey along, because we know I could chat. Whew, pile 4. Do I want this one? Do I want this one? No. Okay. Pile 4, where are they? Their own biggest obstacle. Yes, we have break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Ancestral patterns, talking about family, talking about the way they interact with you. Yeah, you have to heal from that so you can rewrite a future. Because if you're still in a position where you see yourself as having to cower down from the depth of your pain or the depth of your joy, and being in a position where you feel like you can't share your feelings aloud, if you continue down that path, you're going to forever and continue to cycle through an energy where you feel like something's missing, where you're like fading into the background, okay, because your soul shining, you exploring that depth, sharing it with other people, communicating those feelings so that someone could be like, wow, I never even considered that. I was never even aware of that. You made me curious about something I never knew. Like, I'm hearing some people who've been to the shallow side of the pool are curious about how deep the water could be. So it's like, you know, when someone's like, oh, I will live vicariously through you describing the depth of those emotions or how you feel, I feel will be accepted way better than you've ever experienced before. You know how people are like, there are people you haven't even met yet that are waiting to love you, something like that. Yes, you have to believe that is completely and 100% true, or I feel like your family's also, is it fucked up to say jealous of you? I feel like that's not fucked up. I mean, it's like you being able to express yourself so easily or cry in front of other people. Or I know some of you can't express yourself easily, but it's not because you can't and you don't have the ability to. It's more like you've just been suppressed so long by being in their energy, you forgot that you know how to do that, or that comes easily to you. You've looked at it as something bad, so you have considered it a punishment, or like, you know, something you'll be penalized for. So you just chose to stop interacting with that gift. But like, being able to feel so deeply or relate to other people or have such high empathy is actually a gift. So if you heal the way you look at yourself and the way you can interact with your feelings and communicate those, you can have a whole completely different future. Do I want another one? Pile 4. Where are they currently being their own biggest obstacle? Yeah, who or what is triggering you? When I said also, what was I saying? Seeing the mirror. Okay, so I used to have these moments where I would look in the mirror and I would see nothing else but my parents' faces. And I would just be like, when do I get my own thing? Because everything you are is despite of or because of. Did I say despite? Everything you are is in spite of or because of your parents. Like, my parent was into music, so I'm into music. Or because my parent was into music, I'm not into music. Or because they had these traumas, or they were scared to do this. They were scared of heights, so they wouldn't allow me to climb the jungle gym. Or I also learned to do this. But like, certain things aren't your baggage, isn't your triggers. It's just the way you were raised. So again, that's going back to that energy of breaking the chain. And then I just heard like being triggered. Someone's like, oh, let's all wear these matching shorts or something. And then someone's like, you know, I can't have my legs out. Legs are, I don't know, I can't be in no hoochie daddy shorts, something like that. And so, and your friend is like, is that your mind or your mom? Something like that. Something about being triggered. It actually is also making me think of that Amish show. There was this one girl who was like, I really want to be in the Amish community because I want to decenter appearances and, you know, your looks. And then when it came time to do a transformation, she didn't want to take her lashes off or her nails off because she said it made her feel safe. It was kind of like a security blanket. And she said it was because she was raised in a way where her mom was like, you have to look a certain way to be perceived as pretty or to be perceived as acceptable. So it's like being triggered by the people you see in life who are easily accepted for their emotions or who doesn't consider themselves a challenge. So you're triggered by the people in public who could just share their emotions or express something or are accepted or have a good mother-daughter relationship with people. And it's just like, oh, I could have had that. Or I can't have that because of this. This square made me think of like the TV. The TV. And it's like, just sit in front of the TV and don't talk about it. It's making me think of all those glitters is gold. And these swords is making me think of this fraternity emblem. So it was a challenge to just follow the rules. The tradition is just follow the rules. People have done this before you, and when it comes to you, they'll do like you can do it too. Something about the TV reminds me of Matilda, like sitting in front of the TV, not talking about your emotions, not expressing feelings about the situation, kind of like it is what it is energy, and you breaking the chain, you not having to live that way anymore. When you see yourself in the mirror being a reflection of you and not a reflection of the people who raised you. Also with feelings and challenges and communication, I'm getting like neurodivergent energy, maybe having tantrums or having meltdowns and not having people in your corner because your parents didn't have the right tools or your family didn't have the right tools to deal with your emotions. So now you're in a position where some of you may not be able to deal with your emotions yourself, or your situational circumstance in those moments yourself. So because you consider yourself a challenge, you think anyone else can also consider you a challenge. But you don't know the patience people have for others. People want to help you work things out. I hate that it's slanted, and why is it blurry? On my table, it looks super slanted, so I understand why I had it crooked. Okay. I just seen the word surrender. Surrender to your feelings. Oh, look, there it is again. I'm feeling also, yeah. Very much neurodivergent energy with this pile, because I was feeling like hyperactive, ready to talk earlier. And now I'm getting kind of mellow, kind of like the energy ran out, ready for a snack. Didn't realize it. All right. Where is pile 4 currently being their own biggest obstacle? Falling on the floor would be it. Dramatically, it was death, Scorpio energy. It says, I'm learning that endings are merely beginnings. And what are we ending? What are we putting a death to? Besides this mentality and the way we communicate with ourselves. I accept that everything happens in divine order. Didn't I mention some people are more patient than others? This gives me Scorpio and Sagittarius energy. Yeah, where you're currently being your own biggest obstacle is you ending your patience with yourself. And also let me know if you guys like long videos, or if you guys want something quick and short and to the point. Yeah, you're killing your patience. You have to be more patient with yourself. Just because other people didn't have that patience for you, just because there was a period in time where you were a child and you were on someone else's schedule, someone else's time flow, someone else's routine, doesn't mean you're now in a position where you can't establish a routine. The pearl and the shell's making me think of, you have to, come out of that. You have to remove yourself from that hard exterior. Where's pile 4 currently being their own biggest obstacle? Yeah. Acting like on the surface that everything is light and love. Oh, I'm fine. You could have That used to be me. I have sensory issues, and I would be on the bus and I'm having a freaking like sensory overload. The smell on the bus, wore too many socks that day, and then the heat level on the bus was actually on, and it's just like overwhelming. But then someone's like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." But you just had the biggest trip, the biggest mental struggle. Writing. You've stopped writing. I think you used to write a lot, or you used to journal. That was very therapeutic for you. It was a form for you to communicate with yourself. Or someone, you would write down your prayers, something like that. And it's like you would have, or you could write songs, like it doesn't matter. But what was I saying? You haven't allowed yourself the patience for thoughts or creativity or the muses, like to formulate and to come together. You definitely need to slow it down. Something about you've been probably rushing past your feelings, rushing through the situation so that you don't have to dwell on it for so long. Or because you're in a position where other people are around and you feel like, again, that your emotions are a solo activity, something to get through on your own. Builder says, your innate ability to build and create brings you a deep sense of accomplishment. So it's like you feel accomplished by, for me right here, at that angle over here, this looked like, right, I think you can see it. It looks like a brick hanging from like a magnetic helicopter bubble blimp something. Anyway, and it's like being a worker bee and carrying the bricks, carrying the heavy load on your shoulders. And it's like you being in an environment that had a rubric that wasn't on scale with what you would consider important. Say your parents taught you how to steal from CVS and you were a kid who was like, but stealing's bad, you know? So like the morals of you and them don't exactly line up, and you learn to change your rubric or change what you consider important or what you value, to kind of be digestible for your family. And it's like you built a sense of accomplishment of being able to pass, and that could be masking or that could be something deeper. It's just the impression of being able to pass as like a good child, or like what they expected from you, what they wanted from you. And when I mean that could be something deeper, like that could be, you know, your sexual orientation, or like your gender orientation, or picking your major, or wearing clothes, or, you know, just a plethora of things that it could be. And it's putting having a death, putting an end. I see a statue like Julius Caesar, something that looks like this guy. And it's like having that statue come crumbling down, and it's like no longer feeling accomplished. And look right here in the background. There's like a little kid with his little hammer, and it's like a way to keep your inner child safe. And it's like putting an end to what other people considered. That's it, what they considered. Like, it's your narrative, it's your vision, it's your lens. You get to fill it with your ideas now. You're at a stage, you're at an age, you're at a point in time where you're safe and you have enough distance between you and them where you can build your life in your image. So having the, oh, I'm fine, yeah, nothing's wrong, and having no release through writing or through something. If you're not communicating aloud, you have to communicate at least with yourself. So it's like, write it, put it out there, and build something new. I wouldn't be surprised if the Tower card came out when we get to tarot. Or if we get to tarot, I don't know which cards I decided I'd pull today. But I am getting hungry, so I feel like that's you also. You're like, I can meet up with my family maybe for dinners in like 2 years after I get through some things on my own. But I'm hungry for myself, my truth. Because you're not in a rush. Like, there was definitely an energy when we were kids where parents were always in a rush because they were running late, and then they took it out on us because we're moving slow. But if you knew we were going to move slow, why wouldn't you allow buffer time for us to get ready through the day, you know? So they just wasn't prepared like you be prepared, or they wasn't ready to build their life like you build your life. So it's kind of like, allow yourself to live the way you want and have the patience to reintroduce yourself. But how are we going to fix this? So if this is your obstacle and this is how you're standing in your way, how are you going to fix this? How's pile 4 going to fix this? Oh my gosh, I love when the magic be magicking. All right. Didn't we see surrender in the other deck where I was like, look, it's poking out, and it's like, yeah, surrender. When you're in a position where you are in like an emotional meltdown or where things are overwhelming, you're already battling a lot. You do not have to sit there and pretend that things are light and love and things are fine. Like, test the waters, have a hypothesis, have a new test group where it's like, oh, how are you? It's like, actually, I'm having a panic attack right now. Do you think there's anything you could do to help me? Or you could already know the tips and tricks. I've had a panic attack coming off a train again, motion sickness, sensory issues. And I ran up to a classmate and I was like, oh my God, can you please hug me as tight as you can right now? Because the pressure will help relieve. Just, I can't even talk. Help, please. So it's like, surrender to, what's going on in the moment, like ripple effect. You don't try to control the ripples. You have something wrong, you tell the closest person you're near something is up with you, they accept it, and even if they don't, you try a new experience, and then just saying it out loud has slowly helped soothe whatever is going down. How can they fix being there, like being an obstacle? Too many. Not too many feelings, never. Because we're living new energy. Just too many cards, okay? Oh, too many cards. Okay. Oh, Queen. Radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others. The shadow attribute says, becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling and demanding. Think about who is controlling and demanding. Who tried to control your feelings? Who tried to control the outcome? That was your parents, right? That was your mom. That was your grandma. Definitely like feminine, maternal energy is what's coming through, because another queen, right? And queen came from an ancestral pattern. So that was a lineage of a certain type of requirement, routine, expectation. So when it comes to you in your life, don't be so controlling. Don't be so demanding. And when your authority is challenged, when you feel triggered, don't put yourself in a position where you're just like, oh, well, this is why I don't even share my feelings. This is why I don't do this. This, because you're met with an unfamiliar response. Continue to use, what was I going to say? Continue to use your feelings almost as a metal detector. And it's like, oh, I dropped this little boop. What what am I hearing? Like, say you have a story and you're like, oh, my mom made me feel this way as a kid. You'll get two responses. You'll either get the person who's like, oh my God, how could you talk about your mom like that? Like, my mom is my best friend. Or you'll get the response that's like, oh, I completely know what you mean. Moms be tripping and yada, 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 yada. And you'll like trauma bond over the situation. So if you want people whose response is person B, then you have to put yourself in a position to drop a little like a little feelings anchor, you know, just plop that in the conversation, something you would consider a challenge, and see how people react to that. Not trying to control the outcome, not trying to make people see your side or understand your point of view, just allowing people to have their own feelings about the situation, which is cool, fine and dandy, but we're focused on how you feel about the situation. So if you are around people who don't accept your feelings and who make you feel triggered, then those are the people you should not be around right now. If it's hard to have patience around certain people, while you're already curating a new sense of patience for yourself, don't be so triggered. Don't feel so tested. It's like a language. If I'm learning Japanese, I'm not going to hang around people who are fluent in Spanish and who are constantly speaking another language while I'm still trying to understand something. I don't have the patience for that. I have the patience to learn a language, yes, but at my pace and at the speed at which I'm able to build it. And if I'm around people who make me feel triggered and or get me in a position where I'm like, oh, this is why I don't want to learn anything. It's just too hard. It's just too difficult. I don't even have the patience for myself. If it's taking away from something beneficial to myself, then that's something I shouldn't be around. And a queen radiates regal feminine. I did mention that there was like feminine maternal energy coming from this. So it's kind of like their definition of what a feminine is or what a female is or how a woman should move doesn't have to be your same rules and your same rubric. You can surrender to your truth. You don't have to be this representation of light and love or this pretend. Your rule, your reign is what I'm hearing. I'm going to try to not be self-conscious by the fact that I've been talking so long. But I mean, if I was standing in my own way, I would want to know in an in-depth way how exactly that could be saved, fixed, addressed, adjusted. Too many cards, actually. So, you know how I feel about that. How can pile 4 fix this? How can pile 4 stop being their own obstacle? Okay. Yes. It says Magic Guardian. Unlock the magic within. So I thought I had to burp. So that's why I was waiting this whole time, like for it to come out so I could get that out of the way and then continue. And I feel like that's some of you. Some of you are like, well, let me get therapy out of the way and then I can continue this. Or let me get myself under control and then I can get in a relationship. And it is a message for you to know that you are magical and you're able to do things simultaneously. It's saying like something like this is burning while she's walking with it. And those are two things happening at once. And then she has like this creation coming in her hand, or the magic. What am I getting? Something about the energy of other people helps feed your soul. And that's something you haven't experienced before. Like sharing with other people is going to help get a weight off your shoulders. And that's something that you haven't experienced before, because usually the weight is put on your shoulders and it's something for you to carry. But it's like unlocking the magic within. People are going to show you like the power in your emotions, or they don't even have to show you the experiences you live. Allowing yourself to be that vulnerable, allowing yourself to be in a position where you can revise your thought or something. And like you tell people like, oh, emotions are challenging, and conversations about emotions are hard, and you can't just cry in someone's lap. Like, people don't know what to do, or just cry on someone's shoulder. Like, that's not your responsibility. And you're like, I welcome the challenge, I welcome the experience that makes me bite my tongue, that makes me say I was wrong. And it's like you showing up in a way where you're like, oh, I'm not that cry baby Jessica who's crying for a grade change, is what I heard. I am expressing my feelings in a way where it's like, whether you allow me or not, this is what stands. It's very queen-like. Like, you can accept it or not, but this is the rule moving forward. So it's kind of like you finding the magic in your ability to connect with people from a mutual upbringing or from a mutual viewpoint. It's like, oh wow, you've never met my mom, but you would know exactly what I feel. There's a magic in that connection. And something with the queen, like taking the queen off the pedestal and recognizing that she's a person too. If you were a person under her reign, you would feel very connected to her. So it's like taking people off the pedestal where they wouldn't understand, and also taking your parent off the pedestal where they're the only people who could be right about you, or they're the only people who can really see you. That's not true. That's kind of a myth, depending on who your family is. So it's like the magic of finding a sense of connectedness with people who aren't your familiars, something like that. And who's with you? We have 𝚘𝚊𝚏𝚎, the saint of authenticity. I am my authentic self in all circumstances, which needs to become very much you. How you are not standing in your own way, how you are no longer an obstacle, is to be your authentic self in all circumstances. I'm feeling down, and oh my gosh, what's crazy is she has pages. She's writing like, oh, let me read from my, can I read you something from my journal? Or like, let me tell you something I was contemplating earlier. That's so connected. So 𝚘𝚊𝚏𝚎, the saint of authenticity. I am my authentic self in all circumstances. She stands with you as you are, I heard, converting to a new lifestyle, which I feel like is this very specific word to use. Maybe you guys had a certain upbringing, a religious upbringing, so to even mention magic is like maybe frowned upon. Or to talk about things other than light and love is kind of frowned upon. But you're going to find your people. Moving forward, being authentic with your feelings, with your approach, with your down to masking is what I heard. Pile 4. Who's with pile 4? Too many cards. Yes! Oh my God! Vulnerability number 39. Open your heart. Allow yourself to be tender, which is exactly what we've been talking about this whole time. I mentioned being the vulnerability being open and exposed with your feelings, no longer considering that a challenge, no longer having to have that hard exterior because you're allowing yourself to be tender. So I love the full circle of it all. Also 39, 3 and 9 comes to 12, and then 2 and 1 comes down to 3, and 3s are about community and about friendships and about groups. So I definitely see you talking to people who want to hear from you and want to hear your perspective. And then we're going to have one more card, and I'm actually going to let you go. So no tarot today, but I think, oh, I just seen 43 on the recording time. Okay. We have number 6, the crone, fairy, godmother, wisdom, future, and truth. Yeah, the truth of who you are. Oh, wow. So that we can rewrite the future, right? The truth of who you are, that's very much authentic. I am my authentic self in all circumstances. And the wisdom, you know better now, right? You know better so you can do better, which goes back to this energy of ancestral patterns, of breaking the chain. You know better, you don't want to end up like them, so you're going to do better. You're going to move different. You're not going to be triggered by the same things they were triggered by. And I think this is what I have for you. Oh, and then I just seen 44. Love it. Love the energy coming towards you. Love the things moving forward. Actually, I'm going to pull one more group from the tea. How many do we want? I saw 34, or no, I saw 43. And then I seen 44. So like 3-4 cards I think would be good. Pile 4. Final messages for pile 4. Ooh, a month. Final messages for pile 4. Okay. Ooh, another month. All right. We have broken wishbone, wish will not be granted. I feel like you had a wish to be like the perfect daughter or the perfect son or the most compliant, or you're praying that you just get over the sensitivity, and it's kind of like that wish will not be granted. Again, that your sensitivity, your empathy is a gift. For it to just be ignored or overlooked or something of the sort, that wish will not be coming true. Then we have February. So that's this month. This month is the time to get active and the time to make moves and the time to be the big bad wolf is what I heard. Because remember, I said you're not going to be the perfect, daughter or the perfect son or whatever. It's time to blow away the expectations, blow the house down. Like if you have to be the villain, if that's how they perceive you in your story moving forward, that's okay. Because in your story moving forward, you're going to be the hero. You're going to be the one who rescued you. And then we also have November, and November is Scorpio Sagittarius season, which I mentioned earlier. So I feel like from now to November, things can really make a difference, because in this it's giving like I'm blowing the cold, I'm freezing everything, and then by November things are looking really like defrosted. Sun's peeking out the corner, so it's kind of like you can start making the moves now, so that the seeds you plant for today can benefit like the future you tomorrow. But definitely have the patience. You need patience for a garden to grow, but you have the magic, you have the royalty, you have the regality, you have the authenticity, you have everything you need to move forward successfully. You just need to allow yourself to be the truth of who you are and use the wisdom you gained over the years to create new hypotheses and new narratives and new stories about yourself. So this is what I have for you. Thank you so much for watching Pile 4. If it resonated with you, be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you like the vibe, subscribe, subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye.